After a dominating run in the 2023 playoffs, Nikola Jokic's stock has never been higher. For the last few weeks, talking heads have been debating if the 28-year-old is already a top 10 all-time NBA player. But off the court, he's just as interesting. Watch on to learn more about the secretive lifestyle of the Joker. After defeating the Heat in Game 5 of the Finals on June 12th, the Nuggets were understandably ecstatic. But looking at Jokic's face, you wouldn't be able to tell. He was stoic, straight-faced, like he just punched out of a long shift. In a classy moment, he took the time to shake the hand of every single Miami player. From the stars to the bench warmers, he even dropped some advice to Nikola Jokic, fellow Serbian. Meanwhile, his beautiful wife Natalia was screaming and crying for joy in the stands. His brothers, made famous from the altercation we'll cover in a couple minutes, lifted head coach Mike Malone in the air. Jokic, as always, didn't care about the pomp or the drama. The first time he cracked a smile was when he embraced his family, as thousands of mile-high fans rained cheers upon him. What kind of life did Jokic have that led him to this moment? Nikola was born in Sombor, a mid-sized city in northwest Serbia in 1995. He continues to go back to his hometown every offseason. He even had his 2022 MVP trophy shipped to Serbia. He said that once he retires way down the road, he'll return to Sombor. He said that he likes the peace of mind that he can have outside the bustling cities, adding a classic Americanism, "There's no place like home." He was raised by Branislav Jokic, an agricultural engineer, and his wife, whose name isn't publicly known. The Jokic family owns a small stable and compete in horse racing, a hobby Branislav says Nikola inherited. Joker told Slam that it was always a hobby of his, as he loved the beauty and elegance of the animals. He cleaned the stables every day after school, and in his first race as a teenager, he won 4th place. A couple of years ago, he bought his first racehorse, named Dreamcatcher. To this day, if he's still in Sombor, there's a good chance he's out cleaning the stalls. He said that if he weren't in the NBA, he'd probably be a stable boy. He still owns racehorses. In 2021, after losing to the Suns in round 2 of the playoffs without fellow star Jamal Murray, he said the second highlight of his offseason was when his horses won 15 out of 20 races. His first highlight? Watch till the end of the video to find out. But unlike basketball, he said he never took horses all that seriously. The hobby, the one that's made him internationally famous, came because of his brothers. Basketball apparently runs in the Jokic family. Nikola grew up with his 2 brothers, a decade older than him, Strahinja, 13 years older, and Nemanja, 11 years older. Growing up, both of his brothers played, giving him a love for the game as he watched his big bros on the court. He said it was hard to watch NBA games in Serbia due to the time difference and the lack of exposure. In the mid-2000s, stars like Yao Ming and Dirk Nowitzki had popularized the sport to an international level. But it's nothing like it is today, where nearly half the players in the league were born outside of the U.S. Because he couldn't watch full games, he'd resort to YouTube, where he'd watch highlights of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. But now, maybe in part due to his stardom, it's far easier to watch live games in his hometown. While NBA greats had a big impact on him, it was nothing compared to the impact his brothers had. Strahinja was a high school basketball star who competed professionally in European leagues. Nemanja, on the other hand, flew out to the United States to compete collegiately in NCAA Division I. While he looks small next to the towering Jokic, the middle Jokic brother stands at 6'6" and 220 pounds. Nemanja attended the University of Detroit Mercy, averaging about 20 minutes a game, sharing the city with another Serbian basketball legend, Darko Milicic. Darko never quite made it in the NBA, drafted to the Detroit Pistons ahead of eventual Hall of Famers Dwayne Wade and Carmelo Anthony. But in Serbia, he was a big deal. The country's one of the smaller nations in the world, only containing about 6.6 million people. Now, in 2023, they boast 2 of the greatest stars in sports, Jokic and Novak Djokovic. But before them, there weren't many stars in American sports that Serbian fans could look up to. In fact, when he first came into the league, there were so few Serbians, it was a struggle to pronounce his name, leading to his famous nickname, the Joker. Mike Miller, former Rookie of the Year, Sixth Man of the Year, and NBA champion, played with Jokic for a season in the twilight of his career. Miller had a tendency to pronounce a soft J in his name, struggling to pronounce it correctly. On top of that, he thought Jokic played in a goofball way, overly creative and making everyone better. Throw in the Joker's famous humor, and you get the perfect nickname, the Joker. Part of the reason the NBA didn't seem like a prime destination for Serbians, even after the success of Vlade Divac, was the abject failure of Darko, one of the history's biggest draft busts. He was criticized for not caring enough about his conditioning or having enough focus on basketball. When Nemanja Jokic was playing college ball in Detroit, he said he struggled with the same issues, that it wasn't his #1 priority, according to an interview with SI. Unlike his brother, Nikola decided to take getting in shape a little more seriously. Growing up, Nikola was a little husky. The now famous picture of an overweight teenage Jokic has been going viral since his rise to fame, mostly among Joel Embiid fans vying for an MVP. He has a habit of eating sweets and apparently used to drink a whopping 3 liters of Coca-Cola every single day when he was growing up. His otherworldly skills and natural size made up for his lack of proper diet and training, to a point. In the summer of 2020, during the COVID break before the season resumed with the bubble, he took the chance to get in the best shape of his life. He stopped drinking soda, got on a strict diet, and hit the weight room to shed some of that unfortunate blubber. Sometimes it's hard to visually tell when an NBA player loses weight, but for him, the pictures tell the whole story. He got slimmer, stronger, and quicker. Denver Nuggets GM Tim Connolly said Jokic sent him a shirtless picture, according to ESPN's Rachel Nichols, and Connolly said he had defined abs, something he never imagined he'd see on the chubby Serbian. The on-court results are staggering. After a few good seasons, a solid all-star and one of the league's better centers, he took it up a notch. In the bubble, after returning with less weight, he took the Nuggets to the Western Conference Finals, something no one expected from the young, inexperienced team. They came back from a 1-3 deficit twice in 2 rounds, something no team's ever done before. When he returned for the next season, he turned into the transcendent icon he is today. 2 straight MVPs, a runner-up, and one of the most incredible playoff runs you'll ever see en route to the Nuggets' first title in franchise history. Maybe he's a little more naturally prone to keeping on extra weight than his peers in the NBA, but he refused to let that stop him. His dedication to his craft, his game, and his body set him apart from his brothers, who never reached the levels of basketball success he has. But you still can't take away from him what his 2 big bros did for him, inspiring him to come to a new country to play the game of basketball. When he moved to Denver after he was drafted, famously in the midst of a Taco Bell commercial, he took his brothers to move with him. They can be seen at virtually every Nuggets home game. They're hard to miss. They're the enormous Serbians screaming bloody murder every second of the game. Their penchant for hooting and hollering all game apparently came from their father, who they say is always passionate while watching games. They said that he screams and yells, no one wants to sit around him. Jokic's brothers aren't the only important part of his story. He's married to Natalia Masesic, his high school sweetheart. The 4 of them, Joker, his wife, and his 2 brothers, share a 3-bedroom apartment in Denver where, according to Nikola, Natalia cooks most of the meals. As in the case with most of Jokic's life, not much is known about his bride. She grew up with him in Serbia, but moved to the United States for college. She played basketball at Oklahoma Seminole State College, eventually transferring to study psychology at Metropolitan State, pretty close to the Nuggets' home court at Ball Arena. The pair has a young daughter, Oegnena, who was part of the only celebration Jokic seemed interested in after winning Finals MVP, the photo shoot with his family. Oegnena was born in September 2021, making the offseason following a heartbreaking second-round loss into a highlight. While the 2 prefer their privacy, they did release a fairly intimate video, the first dance at their wedding in late 2020, a few months before Jokic won his first MVP. Jokic's love for his high school sweetheart is evident every time he steps onto the court. When he laces up his sneakers, he ties his wedding ring on the side, a public display of his love for Natalia. Born the son of a horse-owning engineer, Jokic thrives in one of the biggest sports across the globe. He has partnerships with Nike, Western Union, and Panini, earning him cushy paychecks from sponsorships. In terms of salary, he does pretty well. He made $33 million in 2022-23, but that's nothing compared to the 5-year contract that kicks in next season. A Supermax $270 million, 5-year deal, $54,404,000 every single season, just for playing basketball. That extension is the largest in NBA history, both by total value and annual average. His net worth is estimated to be around $50 million, which is sure to spike once that Supermax kicks in. His life outside of the NBA is still, for the most part, a mystery. He has a loving wife, a beautiful daughter, a couple of passionate brothers, and supportive parents. He loves his horses, but prefers the quiet of the Serbian countryside over city living. But after you win the NBA championship, it's okay to fly to Vegas for a night out after the parade. In a league filled with me-first stars who live on social media and hit up every club they can go to on road trips, the secret life of Nikola Jokic might be the most interesting. What part of Jokic's history and lifestyle shocks you the most? Let us know in the comments. For more NBA content, listen to The Wrong Opinion, useless NBA trivia, and garbage rankings wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for watching Hooper's Lane.